Good morning. Good morning, everyone. आगे बढ़ेंगे. How do I keep up traveling? How do I keep up while traveling? Boss, पहला तो are you keeping up while not traveling? Because if you are, then just chill. When you are traveling, walk around the place you are in. It's a good way to get to know it, its people and culture, and a good break from the routine burning calories. And if you travel on business and have no time to work around, then how about making time for a nice massage? Because relaxing and doing nothing is also essentially fat burning in nature. Aerobic pathway. Remember, the problem with strength training is most hotel gyms are poorly equipped and rarely serviced. Upon receiving step motherly treatment of being either in the basement or in a dingy corner. The least paid guy in the hotel industry is probably the gym trainer. So forget about getting someone to spot you. I have this problem with clubs too. I mean, they are supposed to spread the fitness culture, but it is the banquets that face the gardens and swimming pools. And the gyms are invariably in the basement and with treadmills facing walls or mirrors. All right. If you really must do something, how about practicing yoga asanas? And if nothing else, a nice round of Surya Namaskar. Learn to do them right first under a good teacher while you are not traveling. And with that, let's move on to the yoga chapter. So next chapter is yoga, rethink and relearn. To be consumers of yoga or students of yoga, the choice is yours. Vikesh Iyengar. A short history of yoga. Once upon a time, India was a land of sages and rishis who practiced yoga as a way of life. No one went to classes then, and yoga didn't have fancy names or a multi-million dollar industry attached to it, or promises of quickly fixing your stress, backache, asthma, or whatever else. Everyone practiced yoga in their own way, and asana practice formed a small but integral part of their dincharya, a daily routine. Much later, but still a long time ago, when Muhammad of Ghazni raided India, he was advised by his trusted aide Alberuddin to not touch the scriptures in yoga and to not touch them at least till they were translated into Arabic. This thought Alberuni, who came down to India as part of the Ghazni gang, was a was as precious or more crucial than looting jewels and adding India to the empire. Proficient in many languages and with a deep understanding of Islam and its true values, Al Biruni's job in India was to learn Sanskrit and understand its culture for two reasons. Number one, India's deep rooted and holistic culture was both respected and seen as a threat to the invasion, not its military power or lack of them. And number two, anything in this rich culture that was worthy of adopting was to be translated and taken back home. The first translation of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra then was into Arabic, and that is how yoga got its first foreign following. This was long before the My Dear Both Brothers and Sisters speech by Swami Vivekananda. Till date, Alberuni translation is regarded as the best and most authentic one. The Persian and Islamic culture had the richness and depth to accommodate the 196 Sanskrit verses, and the translator had the deep understanding and practice of pursuing anything, including asana, pranayama, etc., religiously. So even as the Mughals translated and, and took the wisdom of yoga with them back home, it started vanishing from daily life, pushed away into the high Himalaya or remote villages. By the time Swami Vivekananda made the epic speech at Chicago that attracted Western following to yogic wisdom, the British had already implemented a modern education system. This system had no room for asana practice in daily life. There was no effort to control or discipline the senses. Purity of thought, breath, body were not measure of progress, and success was not to be found in the knowledge of Purusha and Prakriti. Education acquired a new meaning and degrees where your ladder to success, money, recognition, etc. Everything indigenous, including yoga as a way of life, was systematically rooted out, and a new system, new values, new language were introduced to reform us. We were all to become Macula's children, conditioned to look up to the West and follow their ideals, and in turn look down upon ours. The process of weeding out the Indian way of life and the Indian education system, with its focus on maths, astronomy, Sanskrit, yoga, philosophy, and a holistic way of life, had started a way back in 1835. The speech came only in 1893. Alberuni was actually quite upset with his Basha for so ruthlessly demolishing temples, sculptures, and the culture that thrive on yogic vidya. He didn't get a chance to see how ruthless the British invaders were and how one could manipulate an entire culture and a belief system without causing any in your face destruction. Anyway, history is not my subject, and I write only from the point of view of a sports nutritionist, fitness consultant who lives and watches the continued daily destruction of this all encompassing Vidya into a quick fix, get rid of your balls. See white light, improve flexibility, learn pranayam from TV, get enlightened in 3 weeks of classes, and the like. Honestly, our impatience and ignorance, along with our ability to buy into quick fixes, and our willingness to be fooled in a force that defeats the might and malice of both the British and Mughal invaders. Ghazni and Machiavelli pale in comparison to the way we destroy our heritage and traditional wisdom. So, what I am saying, yoga is not going to give you weight loss. Yoga is not going to give you weight loss. See, you always know that साला फुकट में बुक पे पैसा वेस्ट किया. No, I am saying that it will give you way more than weight loss or a glowing complexion. It will give you insight, innocence, and intelligence to see the world and yourself as constantly changing and impermanent beings. It will become the guiding force you live by. A force that tells you that the body ages, you don't. So that Botox is really unnecessary. But yoga survives. As education further wiped out this practice, or whatever of it is remained in our daily life, it survived nevertheless in our homes and in our hearts in a very, very filmy way. Once you have internalized a practice, once it has been imprinted in on your heart, DNA is mysteriously and uncannily finds a way to carry itself forward and to express itself in the most unusual places. Look at your grandparents, wedding photos or portraits. Hopefully, you have some. The man always stands to the right of the lady. The reason is that male energy or prana flows to the right nostril, and the feminine energy or apana flows to the left. Even the way they pose of pictures is rooted in yogic wisdom. So is the way they eat, the way they want to live, and the most importantly, the way they want to die. Almost amongst family and grandchildren, after fulfilling every duty without being a financial, emotional burden of the family. All of it can be traced to the imprint this Vidya left on our hearts. In pure yogic terms, it is called sanskara, the deep grooves it forms in our minds that get transmitted from generation to generation. This imprint is just one of the many boons of a life that abides by the law of ahimsa, non-injury. Such a central theme of the Indian way of life that it forms the prime most yama, the laws of self-restraint that one must follow to lead a yogic life. The schools of yoga. Today, of course, we confuse yoga with some form of physical exercise or some quick weight loss aid or something that celebrities do. In fact, I think we can roughly divide India in two parts. One that thinks Patanjali is someone they see on TV, and the other that buys designer tracks to go to yoga classes taught by Caucasian women with exotic names. But there is a third India which stocks the t-shirt inside and practices in ventilated rooms with hard floors, with teachers who look and behave like regular people. No halo around their heads, no exotic name, no orange robe, just hardcore disciplinarians who believe in living their art. This variety usually belongs to one of the classical schools of yoga who try and keep up with essence of Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, and Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. the two guiding texts of yogic philosophy and practice. As yoga started moving deep into the Himalaya, the masters taught the Vidya to their students and instructed them to pass it on only to deserving students. Deserving students essentially mean students who practice with this passion, without the temptation of result, with devotion, who spend time contemplating the meaning of the practice and show the genius of putting their art to practice. Needless to say, deserving students were hard to come by, and slowly but surely some of the techniques, practices, rituals died with the teacher. This was considered higher than letting the great Vidya, so meticulously practiced and treasured, fall in the wrong hands and get diluted or distorted. You can partly see this with Tantra Yoga being mistaken as casual sex when it is true meaning lies in something very different and beyond physical sex. Patanjali and Ashtanga Yoga. Patanjali, the saint who lived long before any invasion took place, documented and codified the yogic wisdom from various practices prevalent at those times into 8 clear steps in his Yoga Sutra and called it the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 branches, folds of bodies of yoga. This remains till date a very clear and practical step-by-step guideline to help you progress in your yoga practice. The Ashtanga Yoga or the 8 limbs of yoga as described by sages Patanjali. First is Yama. Yama means self-restraint. There are 5 yamas. Ahimsa, non-violence; Satya, truthfulness; Asteya, non-stealing; Brahmacharya, divine conduct; Aparagraha, non-hoarding. Next is Niyama. There are 5 niyamas: Saucha, cleanliness; Santosa, contentment; Tapasa, disciplined approach; Shwadhyaya, self-study; Ishabhara Paridhana, surrender to God. Number 3, Asana, discipline the body using postures. Number 4, Pranayama, expansion and discipline of the breath. Number 5, Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. Number 6, Dharana, concentration. Number 7, Dhyana, meditation. Number 8, Samadhi, one with the true self. So let's just speak of what happened to asana. Of the 84 lakh asanas, as asana each from very kind, less than 84 survive today. And most of us can't even do and don't know the names of dozens of these surviving asanas. The 2 gurus who managed to carry the torch and pass it on to their students world over and influence what we understand yoga today are Swami Vivekananda of Rishikesh and Krishnamacharya of Mysore. Almost all teachers who teach with the whole, no frills attitude can in fact be traced to one of these 2 lineages. However, to say that these 2 were the only ones who would be incorrect and limited. There are many gurus who taught the essence and it survives and thrives through their schools, be it the Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmayananda, Swami Rama's Ashram, and many other institutes. Here is a brief overview of the main students of Swami Sivananda and Krishnamacharya and the school of yoga they established. Swami Sivananda, students of school of yoga, Swami Sivananda, Bihar School of Yoga, Swami Vishnu Devananda, Yoga Vedanta Forest Academy, Swami Chidananda, Divine Life Society, Rishikesh. Krishnamacharya, Patavi Joyce, Ashtanga of Mysore style, BKS Iyengar, Yoga with Props, Main Center in Pune, Desikarchar, Vini Yoga, and Nada Yoga Center in Chennai. The two main gurus are called many things, like Krishnamacharya is called the father of modern yoga, but irrespective of the names, they represent the collective yoga wisdom that existed in India, and their teachings continues to influence what is happening in the yoga studio next door, whether you are in Santa Cruz or San Jose. To, for, to further your understanding of the schools of yoga and to make it easier for you to choose, I have summarized their working, their specialties. If you want to call it that, note that is that this comes from my very limited understanding and biases, known and unknown. चलिए आगे पढ़ेंगे. Choosing the right yoga school for you. So चलिए नेक्स्ट बहुत ही अच्छी रुचिता जी ने बताया. इसके बाद हम चलते हैं योगासन की तरफ, कैसे नया सीखेंगे.